All right, so in the last module, we talked about basically manipulating data frames, and part of that was adding new columns. And when we add new columns, we typically do this based off of like what we call a window function. And the idea of a window function here, we can see in this top image, is that based on some column or multiple columns, we create a new column that is of the same length as the existing data frame. Okay, so we saw this. Actually, let me come down here, and I'm going to pull in this Ames data. And we saw examples with this when we did things such as Ames sale price divided by 1,000, right? So we create a new column that is of the same length as this sale price column that we just used to perform the calculation. Or this could even be based off of multiple columns, right? We saw how we did Ames sale price divided by ground live area, and this gave us a series that was basically the cost per square foot. And we could add this. We could say Ames price per square foot, right? And so now we've added a new column to the end that is of the same length of the columns that we use to calculate it, right? This is what we call a window function. A window function is a calculation that we do that results in the same length of the current data frame, okay? What we're getting into now is this idea of summary functions. And this is where we're going to take one, and eventually we'll look at how we can take multiple columns, and we want to summarize this into a single statistic. And some examples that we can look at is, let's go ahead and take sale price. And we have multiple sale prices across all these observations, many homes that were sold. And we could say, well, I want to get the mean sale price. And we see the average sale price in this data set is just under $181,000. We could get the max, which is $755,000. We could get the min, which is $12,789. That must have been like a foreclosure home or something to be that low of price. But you can see that we can get multiple summary statistics, and these are all built within Pandas. If you look at the Pandas help documentation, you'll find that there are many different functions to do this. And we have functions that'll work on both numeric. So let's get the mode. So the mode is the most observed, or the sale price that's observed the most, which you see is 135,000. And in this case, mode will also work on, let's say, a column. Let's go ahead and take a look at this column here. We see that this is a character column that has character strings. It's not numeric, but we can still do mode, right? And we see that the most common neighborhood for all sale prices homes is this North Ames, right? We can also find things such as what are the number of unique values in neighborhoods. So we can see that there's actually 28 different neighborhoods, 28 different values observed in this neighborhood column. So you can see that there's a lot of different summary functions that will work on both, or they'll work on either numeric or character strings. And in some cases, like the ones we just observed, they'll work on both numeric and character string columns. All right. So all this is getting down to is we're taking one column and we're boiling it down to a single summary statistic, just like this image here. Right? We've taken this neighborhood column, it's got multiple values, and we perform some operation, some summary statistic that results in a single number as an output. All right, we're going to see how this can expand, and we can do this on multiple columns. We can get actually multiple summary statistics out of it, but at a very basic level, this is what we're trying to do, is summarizing all the values in a given column to get a single summary statistic. All right, so let's use this knowledge, and let's do the knowledge check. So what is the difference between a window operation and a summary operation? We discussed that up here, we can see that basically a window function is where we're creating a new column that is of the same length, right? It's performing some either vector scalar, vector operation, some manipulation of a column where we get a result that has the same number of elements in the existing data frame. Summary function is where we're taking a bunch of values and we're boiling it down to a single summary statistic. All right, so what is the mean, median, and standard deviation of the above ground square footage variable? Well, we can get this by looking at GR live area. So here's the column of interest, and we can get the average. So the average square footage is right about 1,500 square feet. We can get the median, which is again a little bit less than the average or less than the mean. This is 1,442 square feet. We can get the standard deviation with STD, and that's standard deviation is about 505 square feet. We could also get the variance if we wanted to, right? So we have all these different summary statistics. We could get the min. The smallest home is 334 square feet. That is very small. The largest home is over 5,000 square feet. All right, last one is find the count of each value observed in the neighborhood column. It says this may take a Google search, right? Would you consider the output a summary operation? All right, so to answer this one, we want to get the count of each value observed. All right, so if we look at the neighborhood column, we have a bunch of different neighborhoods in here. We saw that we can look at the number of unique, we have 28 unique neighborhoods. We could even get the list of unique values. So this provides each of the neighborhoods that we have in there. And we want to get the count of observations that fall within each neighborhood, right? So to do that, we can use this value count. And now this will provide, in rank order, the neighborhoods and the number of observations observed in each of the neighborhoods. So we can see North Ames is the most common neighborhood. We saw that earlier when we used the mode function on this column. We see that there's 443 observations. And then there's a landmark neighborhood down here where we only have one home sold in that neighborhood within our data set. Right? So now, when we look at this, it says, would you consider the output a summary operation? Right? So this is this is a summary operation, but it's one that's a little bit different than we've seen. And we're actually going to see in later modules similar approaches to do this idea of getting a summary statistic at different levels within a given column, right? And so we'll get to that a little bit later. This would be considered a summary operation. However, it's a summary operation that does not result in a single summary statistic like some of these previous ones that we're looking at.